Hello everyone and welcome to another channel update. Now I'm going to get through all of the normal fluff, all of the fast-paced random stuff we've got to go on, and the later half of this video, probably the much bigger half, it's going to be a longer video, is going to be dedicated to explaining myself on a few various topics. So, the first thing I wanted to cover with you guys, get this out of the way, Nightmare Realm is still continuing. However, it has been a little postponed because recently I was visited by my cousin Paul. He exists, he visited me, and took up a bit of my day. But, nevertheless, we'll get back to it very soon, hopefully with some better edited videos. Hopefully. We'll see. Anyway, that series is still continuing. I just wanted to tell you guys, in case you thought it was over, it's not. It's not. Episode 8 was not the finale. That would have been silly. It's still up. The second thing I wanted to mention was that I have a new channel. That's right. I looked at all of the random projects I had in the 3D world or otherwise and decided, you know what? This is garbage. And no one deserves to look at this on my main channel, so I'll create a secondary channel completely for those who want to view artistic trash. So, that's what the second channel is going to be all about. It's in the featured channels on my channel, I think, somewhere on the channel page. I don't know. It's not really important that you guys need to know this, but it does exist, so there you go. The third thing I wanted to talk about was that I'm probably thinking about doing more mobile games, more recording on mobile games, you know, like, I don't know, Clash of Clans, maybe? I don't know, I'd find some way to make it interesting. But in the meantime, just know that I am thinking about expanding my palette of games that I view on this channel, so don't worry guys, it's not all going to be Minecraft and Overwatch. We are going to expand eventually. It's just, you know, fun games, and I like them, and look at what I built. I built a castle. You guys are happy with my castle? It is a good castle. Anyway, um, that's the third and probably the last important topic that you guys are concerned about. So if you wanted to click off the video now, that's pretty much the end of this update. Bye! Now, if you are here for other reasons, I have no idea, other than the channel, but if you are concerned about what's taking up my time these days, it is the book I've been writing. The Kindleflames, of course. You know, the one I can't stop talking about whenever I'm on stream. Anyway, the Kindleflames. So, bit of a tragedy story recently, guys. Less of a tragedy and more of kind of a very funny realization. The Kindleflames, as it is, would never work as a published book series. And I'm going to get into why in the later half of this video, but all you guys need to know now is that it literally just steals the ideas of thousands of other series and novels. And don't get me wrong, please don't think I did this on purpose. I did not. I definitely did not do this on purpose. This was a genuine mistake. I was uncultured in my youth and had not seen many a movie because my parents didn't want to show me the movies, but now I've seen things like Terminator, RoboCop, um, Harry Potter, I guess, in some cases. Mortal Engines, which was released after we had finished both parts of the Kindleflames original story. So you guys cannot tell me I stole from that, even though many of the ideas look like carbon copies. You know, Red Error, one of my old friends, he wrote the storyline, the character arc for the character Hunter, right? This was before Mortal Engines was released, and I helped him write that character, and we'll get into how he is a carbon copy of Shrike, the character from Mortal Engines, in a bit. But just know, guys, I didn't do this on purpose, I swear. Anyway, so with some heavy revisions, maybe the series could be salvaged. As it is now, I don't think it can be, and it makes me sad. We do, of course, have the spin-offs, which will be published, and if we are going to publish the Kindleflames, it will be as a free book on, like, an online service, probably. Because I do want to get it out there, even if it is silly at this point. I do want to at least have it seen. But that is all. That is all I have to say. As I said, the rest of this video will all go to dedication of explaining why it was a failure. But for now, enjoy your day, guys. And goodbye. Okay, so if you're still here, then you're interested in knowing why so many of the characters from the Kindle Flames would not work. Um, Not in a canonical sense. Canonically, I think the series was well built. I think it was a good book. It made sense. There weren't too many places where lamp shading could have helped, though there were a few, because of, obviously it was built on a Minecraft roleplay adventure. But I think it was a good series overall. However, in light of recent movies, including Mortal Engines, it would not work. I think we'll start with the most prominent example, and that is the character Shrike. I'll start by describing him, and I'd like to begin by saying that there will be spoilers both to my series and to Mortal Engines, but I'm more concerned about the spoilers to Mortal Engines because that is a really good movie and you guys should see it. I liked it a lot. It was a good movie. Feel free to spoil everything you know about the Kindle Flames, but do not spoil Mortal Engines if you haven't seen it yet, because Shrike was the best character. He was great. Anyway, now that that's over the way, and I want to make sure you've clicked off the video if you haven't watched this movie yet, so do it. You won't, well, you might regret it, because apparently some people don't like it, but you probably won't regret it if you've got maybe two brain cells. You good? Okay. Now, Shrike, his character was shrouded in mystery throughout the entire movie. We learned scraps about him, beginning with the fact that Shrike was designed to be an assassin character, one designed to go out and hunt down targets and eliminate them. I believe, if I'm reading along the lines correctly, that was what he was intended for. But, as the character Twix states, he went rogue and began hunting other targets and doing other things. Eventually, we discover that Shrike was actually completely rogue and was no longer taking orders from anyone, having come across a little girl by the name of Hester Shaw, who he then began to care for, and the two developed bonds, and that was the main conflict of his character arc. Now, after Hester Shaw bonds with Shrike, they begin to learn more about each other. Hester realizes that Shrike was probably a human at one point before he was turned machine. And another character, Tom, states that the people who created these resurrected men were insane, terribly power hungry, and they wanted to take the worst qualities out of people and put them into a machine to go and hunt other people. Really, just a terrible situation for Shrike. And then at the end of the movie, even worse, it's revealed that Shrike had a family. Now, at the end of Shrike's lifetime, comes the saddest scene in the movie where Hester has to watch as Shrike is deactivated. And in his final moments, Shrike realizes humanity again after connecting ideas to do with Hester back to his own life and can finally remember who he was in a past life. Now, that's a good character, it's a very interesting and immersive character idea. Red proposed the character Hunter to me about a year before this movie came out, and his proposition was that a Wraith Kindleflame, the creator of the known Kindleflame worlds, would have began capturing humans and forcing them into experiments. I'm not sure he knew where he was going with this, but I really liked the ideas he was proposing to me, and I thought that they could indeed be implemented. And perhaps Red did know what he was doing. In fact, I'm sure he did. He seemed very confident on the ideas. But anyway, in the end, we decided that Wraith was capturing people so that he could turn them into machines, horrible zombie cyborg machines, much like Shrike, as you will have noticed, so that they could go and hunt down Kindleflames, the heroes of the story. And the reason for this was because Wraith had some mutilated idea about how killing all the Kindleflames would save the world, or whatever. Wraith was a very power-hungry and kind of, let's say, misled individual. So, much like the people described by Tom when he talked about who created the Resurrected Men. Already, lots of parallels here, But let's get into the character attributes. So, Hunter, or Ares, I'm not really sure which name Red ended up going with, but I've kind of just been using both interchangeably, so please bear with me on that. Hunters didn't really care about whoever he hurt. In fact, though he was selected to go after Harold Kindleflame, he killed a lot of people in order to reach that goal. Now, when Shrike was on the path of hunting Hester after she had escaped from his facilities, he was said to have killed an entire village. Just slaughtered them for no particular reason. He also took down Airhaven, a very big airship city, in the quest to find Hester. That the two don't really seem to have much care about who gets in their way when they have a selected target. Now, the only difference these characters possess at this point in their stories is that Shrike does have empathy, and he did adopt Hester Shaw and save her from the swamps from drowning, but that's the only difference. After this, both characters start hunting the heroes of both stories, the Kindleflames and Hester Shaw in their own cases, and by the end of it, both die trying to capture these heroes. And of course, the unspoken thing I have not yet said is that uh, Hunter does indeed die by the end of it, and in his final moments, he realizes all that he's done. He is terribly regretful, but that is just before the entire facility collapses and he dies. So, yeah. Which is very similar because Shrike did die in Airhaven as a result of him destroying the propulsion for it. So, what do you know? Both machines destroyed the stability of an entire facility and then died in the fiery crash afterwards. So, in the end, I might not have explained this perfectly, but to me it's very hard to see a difference between these two characters. And it's sad because Hunter was, as created by Red, one of my favorite characters in the novels. He was very interesting, very mysterious. His ending was very tragic. Of course, before he was a machine and turned cyborg, he had friends, he had family, he had jobs, responsibilities, and I'm sure Shrike was the same way. That's what made both characters such sad individuals. So that's the very, very similar characters of Shrike and Ares. Now, moving on, I'd like to address a Wraith Kindleflame. And I guess, just as a note, Kindleflames are basically Terminators, and Ares is basically Robocop. So there, we can just get that out of the way. Those are the two most basic parallels. Anyway, on to a Wraith Kindleflame, who again relates to Mortal Engines, Thaddeus Valentine. Now, a Wraith, as I've mentioned previously, was power hungry. He was obsessed with anything that developed humanity more, and probably just for his own goals. He wasn't evil, per se. In fact, he was labeled a hero by the humans who knew nothing about him, but he was at least the secondary villain of the entire series. Now, Thaddeus Valentine was the main villain of Mortal Engines by a long shot. He was completely evil. So there's a few differences here, but in the end, they both did bring around the ruin of great civilizations. Wraith, his main idea was to create the cyborgs, to go out and hunt the Kindleflames. In the end, what he did was unleash hell onto the world and destroy a lot of what humanity had built in the time he gave them. Now, Thaddeus wanted to use a quantum energy weapon to bring around the ruin of the Great Shield Wall and gain all the riches behind it. Right? He wanted all the power there. So very similar here. Wraith was probably by accident, might not have been. Who knows? Thaddeus was definitely on purpose. And another note here. I thought it was really funny when the first Quantum Strike was released onto the shield wall. The leader of the civilization behind the wall literally says, "Hell has been unleashed on Earth." And of course, I mean, might just be because I'm uncreative and used hell as a symbol of power in my series, but oh boy. I came very close to writing that line myself. At the end, both characters do not seem to have a shred of regret for what they've done. They have no redeeming qualities at this point, and by the end of the story, they are both killed by their own creations. In Wraith's case, it was Hunter. In Thaddeus's case, it was his daughter, Hester Shaw. Well, technically Tom, but Hester had a part in it. I guess it was like teamwork. I'm not sure. Anyway, they both die by their own creations. Oh, yes, and Thaddeus does get crushed by the giant London city, which was, I guess, again, partly his own creation. So that's the parallels I see there. Quite a bit more debate could be done about that. Um, I mean, they are different characters in their own respects, but they are also very similar in the way I see them. Okay, on to the pretty much the final and least obvious parallel of the series, John Martez and Anna Feng. So Anna Feng comes in about halfway through Mortal Engines. She's a very cool character, got an airship, got a bunch of guns, she's a really good fighter, all those cool Trinity aspects you expect to see. Now, John Martez, he starts off completely differently. Well, I don't want to talk you through his entire storyline because it's not very important to what I'm trying to say. All I'm trying to say is, near halfway through his story, guess what he does? He takes out an airship, he takes out a sword, and starts killing everything. It's almost as though Anna Feng's spirit has possessed him. Whee! No, but seriously, he does take out an airship. He does take out all these cool gadgets. He's not really the Anna Feng that I wanted him to be, but he does play a major role in the uh, ending of the story. He does play a major role in the helping of characters where they need to go. So, I mean, and the two talk pretty similar too. It's actually kind of scary. But that's much more nitpicky than the other two examples I've listed here today because John is his original character. He has lots of character development. I'm proud with how he came out, and I want to give full credit to Mason for designing him and giving the inspiration for him. This is also kind of a video dedicated to all the people who helped me in this series, so thank you to those people. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much the biggest parallels. And amazingly, they all had to do with Mortal Engines. I'm looking back on it now. Yeah, they were pretty much all about Mortal Engines. Crazy that. Well, anyway, the story should be released. I have no idea when my editor gets back to me about where is a good place to put it. If you guys have any ideas, any online like book publishing sites that'll do it for free and people can read it for free, because I don't think this is worth any money at all, by all means. And yeah, that's the end of the video. Oh my goodness! Finally.